From a global partnership that's cleaning up the Rio Grande River, discover a new underground storage technology that's helping keep our environment clean. We'll see how man-made machine strength is building America's infrastructure, how a tool chest of technology is helping farmers feed the world, and how America's favorite pastime sport is also fighting one of Earth's most deadly diseases. It's all coming up.
Hi, I'm John Holden, and welcome to Earth. Water. It's our Earth's most precious and most threatened resource. The health of our world water supply is more critical now than ever before, and nowhere is the crisis more evident than right here along the Rio Grande River and the border of Mexico. But a unique global partnership is helping save our fresh water, as you're about to see.
Life depends on fresh water, from the food we eat to the nature that surrounds us to the energy we use. Yet despite the huge role that water plays for mankind and nature, it's a finite resource that is threatened. Today, less than 1% of our world's water is fresh and accessible.
It's a crisis worldwide. It's hard to overemphasize the importance of freshwater ecosystems. 10% of the animals on Earth need freshwater ecosystems for their survival. Or what is needed to combat this problem, I feel, are unique collaborative partnerships.
Since 2007, World Wildlife Fund has partnered with the Coca-Cola Company to work together to help conserve the world's freshwater resources.
Well, as the largest beverage company in the world, with almost 2 billion servings every day in over 200 countries, water is really at the heart of the Coca-Cola Company. So we're intently focused on protecting and restoring water resources. And it's not just for our business, it's also for the communities that share this resource with us. And those are the communities that we serve.
The other great advantage of such a global partnership is it's long-term. Often from a conservation perspective, we have projects that are 3 years long. You just can't battle some of the conservation issues, such as the one we have here in the Rio Grande, in 3 years. We've been working with the Coca-Cola Company for over a decade along the Rio Grande, and it's such long-term partnerships that are needed.
Well, the Rio Grande is one of the world's iconic rivers. It's very majestic, and it provides drinking water to over 10 million people in the US and in Mexico. But it also faces a lot of challenges, from water stress to climate change to just increasing water demand. So there's a lot of work to do to restore this river.
So there's good reason they call this the Big River or the Rio Grande, but it's really hard to imagine the immensity and popularity and importance of this river unless you get, well, a bird's eye view, or in this case, a view from a helicopter.
This project we're doing here in the Rio Grande is a great example of our goal to return to nature and communities every drop of water that we use in our beverages and their production. And we do that through community water projects and watershed restoration projects. We have replenished over 200 billion liters of water per year across the globe by doing these projects.
One of the biggest challenges to the Rio Grande is a predator called giant cane, a thirsty invasive plant that has taken over the banks of the river, narrowed the channel, and held soil hostage. Eradicating this giant cane has become crucial to freeing up fresh water on this iconic river.
So what is this doing to the environment, this giant cane?
Well, cane does a couple things. One is that it excludes any other biodiversity. It simply outgrows many of the other native plants. One of the things that also has concerned us the most about giant cane is it has a perfect sediment filter. So when we do get high flows here, you can imagine the flow passing through the cane and collecting sediment, and the banks build up, buries prime riparian and aquatic habitat, makes the river more narrow.
How do you get rid of it? What's the procedure?
There's two main steps that we do. One is we do a prescribed burn, which is a planned burn, and that reduces the biomass. and then we wait 6 weeks where the cane is about yay high, and then we treat it with a federally approved herbicide.
So when that's all gone, this is going to be a clean area, which is going to mean what for the river?
It's going to mean that the river is going to start to look like a river again. It's going to, some of the sediment will go back into the river. The river will be wider, more shallow. It would offer prime habitat again for a lot of aquatic species and riparian habitat. What we're seeing now, actually, the river is beginning to look like a real river again. The banks are eroding backwards, the river's becoming wider and shallower instead of this narrow and deep sluice that we had before. It is really exciting to see, and all that bodes very well not only for the communities that live along the river, but for the wildlife species that depend on it.
Preserving the flow of the Rio Grande is just one challenge of our Earth's ever-changing climate. But you know, global partnerships are meeting that challenge and making a difference in making our water cleaner and safer worldwide. Our next stop, Edmonton in Alberta, Canada, where I'm stopping to refuel on this environmental journey. Now, everyone expects high-grade fuel to keep our engines running clean, but did you know down below, underground, and I mean deep underground, is new technology to keep our environment running clean as well? Let's take a look.
You don't see them hidden beneath gas stations and convenience stores, but across North America, over 500,000 underground storage tanks store petroleum or hazardous substances. The greatest potential threat from this is a leak that could ultimately seep into the soil and contaminate groundwater, the source of drinking water for nearly half of all Americans.
We're concerned about the product leaking out into the environment, which would contaminate soils, contaminate our waters.
The real reason for storage of underground is the extreme fire and explosion hazard that these motor vehicle fuels pose to both property and people. What that created, however, is an environmental problem with underground storage tanks leaking into the environment due to both internal and external corrosion.
Historically, most underground storage tanks were made of bare steel, which were likely to corrode over time, allowing hazardous contents to leak into the environment. But that all changed with the introduction of fiber-reinforced plastic in the construction of these underground tanks for storing petroleum.
Since fiberglass reinforced plastic underground storage tanks were introduced into the market in the 1970s and 1980s, this problem essentially has been solved through these environmentally sensitive storage products now being the dominant choice by over 29 of 30 major fuel retailers in North America.
And nowhere are you going to find more underground fiberglass tanks above ground than right here at one of 6 manufacturing facilities of ZCL Composites in Edmonton. In fact, in the last 30 years since the company started, over 200,000 of these environmentally friendly tanks have been installed and shipped across North America.
As you can see here, we've got tanks that range from 6,000 gallons all the way up to 8,000 gallons, and we make tanks as big as 129,000 gallons.
And these tanks are built to fit what's needed, whether it's a 4,000 gallon tank, or how about a 125,000 gallon tank that towers 50 feet above me, the size of a 5-story building.
Over the last 40 years, the market has transformed from essentially a steel underground storage tank market to fiberglass. ZCL is the largest fiberglass tank supplier in North America with 6 manufacturing locations. If you drive in and fill up your car with retail motor vehicle fuels today, you have a very high probability that one of ZCL's products is underground in service storing the motor vehicle fuel.
It all starts here at the ZCL manufacturing facility in Edmonton, one of 6 production facilities in North America, where leak prevention technology is the result of state-of-the-art testing and research.
We do quite a bit of testing at the factory here, John, just to ensure that our tanks adhere to our quality standards. Behind me, as you can see, is the brining station that we fill our tanks with to make sure that there's no leaks, either leaving the factory or in the field. We use vacuum pressure testing to make sure that when it gets installed, it can withhold any mechanical pressures or external forces on the tank. And we use static pressure testing to make sure that the tank will meet the pressure requirements out in the field.
The end result? A lightweight, superior fiberglass tank that simply will not corrode, with a lower carbon footprint than tanks made from both steel and concrete. In addition to the fuel market, this same tank storage technology is also being introduced to protect and preserve our precious water resources.
We're trying to provide owners and operators of both fuel storage systems and water recycling and reuse systems the peace of mind that they can be assured that the underground environment is being protected from environmental contamination and that our products are being effectively used for the recycling and reuse of these scarce water resources.
By having the double-walled tanks, we can monitor it so that we can make sure that it's not leaking into the ground and water's not leaking into the product, which is a safety for the customer as well.
In our water business, our theme is the water is the next scarce resource, and that to preserve and protect freshwater resources, it's imperative that we adopt recycling and reuse systems, all of which involve large capacity storage systems, and thus our tanks as part of that system.
It's all about protecting the environment from potential groundwater contamination and conserving our scarce freshwater resources.
So, whatever fuel we don't use up here remains safely stored down there. We all know how important stats are to America's favorite pastime sport. But did you know Major League Baseball is also using its millions of fans and popularity to hit a home run in fighting one of Earth's most deadly diseases? Let's take a look.
Baseball, hot dogs, and apple pie. It's America's favorite pastime. Who doesn't have a special childhood memory of being taken to the stadium to watch their favorite team in action? It's truly one of this Earth's most popular pastimes for pleasure. But beyond the game itself, Major League Baseball, with its considerable platform of millions of fans in ballparks across the country, is also making an impact on humanity in a far more important way, fighting disease and saving lives.
I have said many times that baseball is a social institution with very important social responsibilities. I believe it is important for all of us to give back to our communities, and I see it as a privilege to lend our support to this groundbreaking and very noble cause.
From breast cancer and prostate cancer to the increasing tragedy of childhood cancer, which is the leading cause of death by disease in children aged 15 and under, MLB is behind a league-wide initiative to promote awareness and raise millions of dollars to eradicate these diseases. And it's doing so by using a national sports platform that we all can relate to. Stand Up to Cancer.
Tonight, we once again join our partners Stand Up to Cancer in reaffirming a commitment to the fight against cancer.
Major League Baseball believed in Stand Up to Cancer and our model of team science before anybody had heard about it. Being here tonight culminates 9 years of success and people's lives that are healthy, are beating cancer and living with this disease. And it is, every time that I am here, I am so grateful, and I speak for all of the co-founders. We are so grateful that we were able and are able to have Major League Baseball believe in us like they do.
They had so much passion. We recognized that there was a need, that our sport could be a leverage to raise funds and awareness. We wanted to provide that seed funding, and then we wanted to involve everyone else because it does affect everyone. When we are raising funds and awareness to fight cancer, whether it's through research, whether it's through cancer care with our partners, it really is about the fact that cancer touches everyone.
With a national broadcast and digital audience and millions of fans in the stadiums, Major League Baseball is driving donations toward a host of charitable partners in fighting cancer, including the Susan G. Komen Foundation, the Prostate Cancer Foundation, Make-A-Wish, and Stand Up to Cancer.
Even here amidst the celebrities and excitement of All-Star Week at Marlins Park in Florida, it's the personal stories of fighting cancer,
helping their community, and granting wishes for kids, from top league players and commissioners alike,
that strike a chord and drive a home run for national awareness.
For years, MLB and its clubs have been involved in granting wishes for kids. Our biggest commitment is around our jewel events, the All-Star Game and the World Series. We always have a number of wish kids and their families present for those events, and it's really, for me, one of the highlights of those events.
When Major League Baseball actually offered us the opportunity to have a moment where we could bring everyone together to stand up to cancer with promise and with hope, we walked out onto the field and we saw around the stadium Stand Up to Cancer in beautiful lights, and we had a moment where everyone has an opportunity to write on a placard who they stand up for.
The first couple of times I went, I had to tell myself, listen, this isn't about you. This is a chance for the kids, for the siblings, for the mom and dad to maybe get away from this awful ordeal that they're going through and smile. You know, smile for a couple minutes and have something to talk about. And I feel very, very fortunate to be in a position to do that.
For me, you know, obviously, us as athletes, we got to be able to use our platforms to do as much as we can. And also, I just like to go to the hospital and just give some of the kids that are dealing with certain sickness a chance to get better, feel better about themselves, and you know, that's stuff I like to do. I like to enjoy giving people hope.
There is nothing more important and more challenging than the fight against cancer. And we at Major League Baseball are proud and honored to play a role. Thank you very much.
That Major League Baseball truly wants to be with Stand Up to Cancer in the fight. So we're more than family, we're the best family. And now the fans have joined the family. And that is something that it's hard to even put into words.
You can be sure the game of baseball will remain our national pastime. It resonates in our country's soul more deeply than any other sport.
Of course, the crowds are always going to stand up for their favorite baseball team, but when it comes to supporting a cause for humanity on this good earth, baseball is proud to stand up to cancer. Our next stop, Florida, where the construction industry is moving full force at rebuilding our nation's infrastructure and highways. But even the mightiest earth movers have found a way to, well, reduce their carbon footprint. Let's take a look. Across this country, Build America is now underway as our nation's roads, bridges, buildings, and infrastructure get a much-needed facelift. But transforming raw land into communities requires more than just manpower. It requires machine strength.
You need a good, strong machine. You know, for instance, this piece of pipe back here is just under 2,000 pounds total. We're utilizing large excavators, large loaders. Whatever the application is, we can get a machine that's going to facilitate our needs.
But even giant earth-moving equipment, like Caterpillar, still has our Earth's environment in mind. Today's heavy machines are designed with the most up-to-date technology to reduce emissions and carbon footprints, or in this case, track or wheel prints.
So Dylan, how sustainable are these beasts?
They're very sustainable. Large machines like this are built to be rebuilt. We can rebuild them for a second life. This helps conserve natural resources and lowers the overall owning and operating costs of the machines.
As one of the largest distributors of Cat earth-moving equipment in the southeastern United States, Ring Power has become a one-stop supplier for builders of infrastructure, helping consumers get the largest possible return on their investment while remaining true to their roots as stewards of the land.
From the very beginnings, as a small shrimp boat manufacturer out of St. Augustine, Florida, the vision was always to support our customers all the way around the world. So today, we are very much the same vision of supporting our customers. Our greatest asset is our employees, which is why we put a lot of time and effort into training our employees to support our customers. Our customers are the ones who actually go out and build the hospitals, build the schools, build the roadways that we use day in and day out. They build America.
For instance, keeping these earth movers well maintained and moving is a big deal. You can't have these beasts just sitting around like this one because there's simply no time for downtime.
We have found the relationship with our local dealer, Ring Power, is phenomenal. The support, the service, all of our equipment is monitored. If it's overheating, we get an alert. If it's idling too long, we get an alert. Downtime is your worst enemy.
They all wanted to be higher horsepower, they wanted to be creating more workload, they wanted to be able to be more fuel efficient. All these things require a lot of things in the machines to be cared for in a very different manner. So in this day and age, oil sampling process, I mean, it's just like me and you taking care of ourselves at a doctor. We're checking compartments often for what's happening in them. We're looking at them by telematics all the time to understand if we've got any kind of diagnostic or operational complaints coming in.
All day real time we're seeing alerts that are either sensors that are going off in the machine that's telling us what it's reading, what's going on. We get oil samples day in and day out. We are monitoring basically the condition of the machine.
They're our little babies. If we don't take care of them, they're gonna have issues. The more we keep it working, the more money we make for them. The more money we make for them, they bring their business back, and that's what we want.
We're taking oil from all the different compartments out of equipment. So we're looking at the health of the component and the health of the oil that's in the system.
In fact, today's CAT equipment is designed and manufactured to last not just one lifetime, but multiple life cycles, with second life rebuilds that refurbish the machine to like new standards. And when an earth-moving machine needs a second life boost, Ring Power's specialized service shops offer complete machine and component rebuild services.
So a customer owns it for the first 5 to 7 years. You learn a lot about how he uses it in the operation. If you get the opportunity to rebuild it, not only do you save a lot of money, but the enhancements you may make at that point based on how the machine's been being used in his particular operation may exceed his first life opportunity. We've got some customers that have had first, second, thirds, and going on now fourth life opportunities.
An example is the CAT D7E dozer with an electric drivetrain. CAT estimates, since it first introduced this machine, that it saved over 3 million gallons of diesel fuel worldwide.
That should mean a clear path for these earth movers to build our nation's infrastructure, leaving fewer carbon footprints behind, or in this case, track prints. And now we're moving on to the grain fields of the Midwest, where the winds of change and digital technology are making a huge difference in our Earth's harvest. And how is that possible? Let's take a look.
For everyone on this good earth, agriculture has always been critical for our food, fuel, and clothing. But as we feed a global population that is growing at an alarming rate, expect over 1 billion more mouths to feed by 2030, the challenges facing today's farmers have never been greater.
There's only a limited amount of land that is farmable. Every resource is limited. It's a big responsibility. We're responsible for providing a safe product as well as making sure that we're taking care of the land that is taking care of us.
To meet those challenges, the next generation of farmers must have a tool chest of technology at their disposal. And it's technology in all areas of agriculture, from biotechnology and crop protection to data science and advanced plant breeding, that can open the door for more sustainable agriculture.
Food security is a major goal of farmers around the world. But also you have to remember that farmers are really the stewards who live on the land. That's a tough challenge. But you know, I can tell you as a scientist, when we see the incredible advances that are being made both in biology, data science, and engineering, I believe we have the tools to meet that challenge.
The amount of technology that we have at our fingertips is amazing. If it's from the auto steer in the tractor that drives straight lines so that you're down to 1% overlap consistently across the entire field for better fuel consumption, better nutrient placement, I've got the information here to make educated decisions on what my next step is going to be.
For instance, an entire slate of digital agriculture tools from the Climate Corporation deliver customized field-level insights on a farmer's smartphone or tablet about what's happening on their farm at any time, from how much moisture is in the field to when nutrients need to be added for plant health.
And I think a key to some of these new advanced biology and data science tools are, it gives farmers ways to farm better, to use less chemical, to use less water, to make better decisions so that they're enhancing the environment.
There's just many, many, many layers of information here. I've got, on this field behind us, I've got 5 years of harvest information, planting and harvest information. We can pull up the weather right now and see how much rain we've had, when the next chance of rain is. With the corn, we'll get it down to where each seed was placed, the amount of fertilizer that was on each area of the field, and we can pull up the harvest data from last year and see what was productive last year and where we're going to focus our resources for next year. We have to be using our resources the best we can, the time the best we can. There's limited days that we can farm, and we need to be most productive with it.
The beauty of the satellite imagery and the sensors is that a farmer can manage every square foot of that farm, and the image can literally analyze every plant that's growing in the field.
As a subsidiary of Monsanto Company with its advanced research in seed genetics and biotechnology, the Climate Corporation is pooling its deep knowledge of data science to help farmers from countries around the world determine the more informed formula needed for crops to thrive while using less of our Earth's resources.
And I believe that, as we look to that future, if I look into my crystal ball, I think we can address those food security challenges, and we can literally improve the environmental footprint of farming around the world.
I hope that I can do what my grandfather did, what my father did. I hope to do for my children. I hope to pass along a part of this country that I've been caring for with my hands and pass it on to them.
There's no question that the carbon footprint of agriculture needs to change.
The world's getting hotter, water scarcer, the population continues to grow. Digital agriculture and modern ag innovations may be the sustainable answers we're looking for on this green earth. I'm John Holden. Thanks for watching.